The Alabama Crimson Tide, once thought to be dead in the water, now 2 games away from heading to Atlanta for an SEC title appearance. But standing in their path is Oklahoma, who needs one more win to secure bowl eligibility. Who comes out on top at Memorial Stadium on Saturday night? Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson. Breaking down everything that we'll see in Norman as the Crimson Tide travel to face off against the Sooners. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification down below, and of course, smash that subscribe button because this is your number one source for all things SEC. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Make sure that you follow Dave at Rock 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This preview is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com, sign up with the promo code SECU to get a $50 instant play with your first $5 lineup. And ladies and gentlemen, PrizePicks is not like any other betting system. You bet on players and plays. Do you think that the over is going to hit in rushing yards for Jalen Milroe? Do you think the under is going to hit in touchdowns for Jackson Arnold? Whatever you see fit, go to PrizePicks, use the promo code SECU. $50 instantly when you sign up with a $5 lineup. Dave, kickoff, 6:30, ABC, game of the night. 14-point favorite are the Crimson Tide, but I'll be completely real with you. As good as Alabama has looked in their last 3 games, Mizzou, Mercer, LSU, at the start of the year, I thought that this was going to be the ultimate trap game because remember what happened last year with Hugh Freeze taking on an opponent that many thought was inferior. It was a look ahead toward the Iron Bowl. The one thing that you want to do as a head coach is impress in your first Iron Bowl. And naturally, this is an ultimate trap moment. You're on the road. It's a nighttime atmosphere. You can't afford a loss. If you want to make it into the college football playoff, if you want to make it to the SEC title game, this is a moment to where if Brent Venables wants to win some fans back, he might be able to take advantage of Kalen DeBoer in year 1.
Yeah, from an Oklahoma perspective, this would be a big win. I don't know how fired up the fan base is. Seriously, I don't want to speak for Oklahoma fans, but go and prep for this. Last night, I was scrolling the Oklahoma boards, and the thing on top of the boards is the hottest babes of every decade since 1980. So I don't know how fired up the Sooner fans are about this game. Now, in all seriousness, when the lights come on, the Sooners roll out, the Sooner schooner rolls out. Yeah, it's going to be just like every other fan base. Hell, I was on our staff at Kansas when we won 2 games our first year. And it's like you didn't think you were going to win Monday through Friday, but when you woke up that morning, Cole, you played sports. You're like, we're going to freaking win today. So, it's like you wake up and you feel that. So the juices will be there Saturday. It is just interesting, though. Like, I think this is key for Brent Venables to keep this close. As you know, dude, you start to get your next 2 weeks. And again, I know LSU's struggling too, but let's just say hypothetically you don't beat the spread for when you lose by 14 or more this week. And then you just got announced you got a night game at LSU now. Will they be fired up too? But let's just say you don't look good in both of the games and you get blown out. Again, I don't think they do anything, but gosh, his seat is scorching heading into next year. It's absolutely scorching. But no, I'm with you a little bit. 14's probably, I don't know, I may be overstated. I don't know, it's about where I think it should be. I think the key in this game, Oklahoma's got to start fast. They just have to start fast in this game to even have a remote chance. Because you don't want, as you know, Cole, you go into a game where the crowd's on edge a little bit. They can turn on you real fast if you get down 14, 17 to nothing real fast.
I think the other thing that's really important is Alabama's playing its best version of offense so far. They finally have established the run game. And I get it. It was against Mercer, 52-7 win. Not a lot of people are putting stock in it. But when you're putting up over 185 yards, you're averaging 5 yards a play, you enter the end zone 3 times. The way that Jalen Milroe looked the week prior when he was on the road in Death Valley against an LSU defensive front, there's reasons to believe that, yes, this is a thing that you're going to have to prepare for. I think when you look at it from an Alabama standpoint, you want to come in and you want to start off fast because you want to set the tone for this game. You want to be able to, in the second half, if you feel like that, maybe this defense is getting a little bit tiresome, you can milk the clock. You can put a little bit more pressure on them to have to pick the tempo up offensively with Jackson Arnold with this passing attack. You feel like that they have to be the ones that are delivering in the second half, and you put them to where they only have 3 minutes and 2 possessions. So if you start fast and you build that comfortable lead, it doesn't really matter what happens with Oklahoma. It always matters what happens with Alabama. And they get to control the narrative of this matchup. The way they controlled the narrative really in the second half against LSU. The way they controlled the narrative in the second half against Missouri. And I think that the defense is showing you that they turned a corner because we're going on 12 quarters now where we've seen them give up if I'm not mistaken, 20 points, and one was on a field goal. I mean, 2 touchdowns. So, and they went for a 2-point conversion. So we're talking about 13 points coming on touchdown forms in the last 12 quarters of action for Alabama.
No, 100%. The turnovers have been phenomenal. I think they're 4th in turnover margin in the country, which is a great recipe for success to reach an ultimate championship. And as you and I both know, Oklahoma will be given the rock. They tend to give the rock up. I mean, we got to think Oklahoma hadn't beaten FBS team. Would this be right, Cole? Off top FBS team since September.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, look at this. I just put up the schedule. Maine. They beat Auburn September 28th, one of the last few days of the month of September. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma showed you that they're willing to give it up. 4 against Missouri. We've seen it. Saw multiple turnovers against Ole Miss. I'm not going to throw the South Carolina in one just because Jackson Arnold wasn't the full-time starter. I think that's just kind of cherry picking stats. I'm really just going back to the Ole Miss games. You've had a lot of turnovers. They've had a bye week. Alabama coming in, forcing it at a very high rate, playing complementary football. They're not only forcing turnovers, they're capitalizing those turnovers into touchdowns. That is winning football. I think that's an X factor of why Alabama a little bit – I wouldn't have said this 2 weeks ago by any means. But when you study that more, you're kind of like, you know what? It's not a shutdown defense. They're not just going to give people 3 and out. See you later. Thanks for coming to play. But you're turning people – the way you turn people over like that, and if you start converting it into 6, it's a total game changer, and that could propel you to an national championship. Very far away from that. Need to focus on Norman. But I'm just saying that gives me some confidence. And if there was a team to ever keep that stat going, as we've seen so far in 10 games so far from the Sooners this year, they're willing to give it up. So I'm leaning that trend for Alabama's defense of getting takeaways does not end this week.
I think the other thing that's really important, though, Dave, is that we haven't seen that many giveaways by Jalen Milroe so far. You know, he's kind of really turned the corner since that Tennessee matchup, and maybe just, finally having a little bit of space to breathe. You're in a good spot. You didn't have any touchdown passes against Mizzou or against LSU, but you ran in for 5 scores and you kept the ball out of harm's way. And I think that mobility factor is another thing that you as Oklahoma, you as Zach Alley and Brett Venables have to prepare for, because when you talk about the run game, you're not just preparing for Justice Haynes and Jam Miller, you're preparing for legit run design packages with Jalen Milroe. That's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. Yes, there are plays to where he is going back and he's in a 7-step drawback, and then eventually he'll take off and run because of his third option is his legs. It's not a wide receiver downfield. But there are design plays to where if a linebacker misses an assignment or goes and hits the wrong hole, that's a 25-yard gain, and it's not coming by your 2 tailbacks. It's coming by your quarterback that can also beat you through the air. And I think that's going to be a major assignment. Can you spy Jalen Milroe for 4 quarters? And do you have somebody, Kip Lewis, Danny Stutzman, that literally is looking him on and saying, if you go left, I go left. If you go right, I go right. And I don't really care what else you're doing today. I am staying on you. You are not beating me with your legs. You are going to win this game. You're going to win one way, and it's with your deep ball accuracy. And this is where Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prince, they all got to step on up and deliver.
Yeah, Kip Lewis seems like the guy would be because he's a great, phenomenal athlete that has spied guys for Brent Venables in the past. I think he kind of eyes that. And that's where I said going into the LSU game and even afterwards, I think that's where I think LSU's defense got a little comfortable in their own responsibilities without Harold Perkins. But if there was a game you'd like to bring him back, it was that where it's just, dude, you're almost playing a box in one defense in regards to like a basketball terminology. You face guard this dude, and this is all wherever he goes, that's where you're going. And I think Harold Perkins athletically could have kept up with it. I think Kip Lewis, speed-wise, lateral, sideline to sideline, can keep up to. So you're right. That'll be interesting. I do think Brent Venables and Zach Alley will have a good defensive plan. I mean, they haven't quit on defense. Like, you haven't seen that. Yeah, did you want them to give up the big drive late to Missouri with Drew Pine to go tie it late in the game? No, but at the same point, dude, at some point, it's spread open field college football from an offense. These offenses are so spread out, you're going to give up points. It's inevitable. It doesn't matter, man. All it takes is you could have the perfect scheme call in the world. If a guy in a 10 by 15 foot range can't make a play and make a tackle one-on-one, it doesn't matter what you call. And with it being more spatial and not in a phone book like it was 15 years or even 15, 20 years ago, there's a lot more game tackling back then. But I do think Brent Venables, I like him as a defensive coordinator. I like Zach Alley. I do think they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this. I'd be shocked if they came out and were just getting gashed on defense because that's just not their MO. You can say whatever you want about their offense, but you can attest they haven't been bad on defense this year. So I do think they present some challenges to Alabama.
Unfortunately, we have to talk about the offense, which has been a major downfall. And you know what the sad thing is that you see the glimpses of Jackson Arnold living up to expectations and what made him a 5-star coming out of Denton Guyer, what many thought was going to be the future of Sooner football. And then you look at the Oklahoma game versus Mizzou 2 weeks ago, and yeah, he didn't have an interception. He had 2 fumbles, including the big one that led to the scoop and score by Zion Young that kept the 2-loss season alive for the Tigers to stay in the college football playoff hunt for another week. And that was a winnable game. And you had the lead. And yeah, did your offense struggle? Absolutely. But did you also find a way to take the lead late and your defense didn't get the stop and your offense couldn't deliver on the backside? Yeah, it did. And because of that, now we're right back at square one. Is Jackson Arnold going to be the long-term guy? You can tell right now that they're going out and they're adding in a new offensive coordinator. It's not going to be Joe John Finley. It's not going to be Kevin Johns. They're going to add in somebody this offseason. Brent Venables is going to have an opportunity to hire someone. But is that someone going to come with the caveat of, well, this is what we like from Jackson. We saw it in the Alabama game. We saw it in the game against Ole Miss. We saw it in the main game. There's a lot to bring in that he can provide. He was just a young quarterback. Or is it, oh, when you come in as a new OC, we've already told Jackson Arnold, you are not guaranteed the starting job. We think it's best for you to transfer elsewhere. This is a game that can win a lot of people back and say, yep, we believe in him. We think that he can be the future. This is also a game where they immediately shut the door and say, we don't care what you do against LSU. It doesn't matter. The best thing for you is to transfer the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, this is another opportunity for him to show he can go be the guy in 2025. Again, the offense, you look forward to their injury report each week. Really, for weeks, you tune in on Wednesdays when you first get it from the league, and you're like, all right, still everybody is out. There's been no movement. So, and again, comes that time of year when you're checked out, when people start checking out a little bit. And do guys push themselves hard enough to get back? If they're like, from a receiver standpoint, it's kind of like, man, I don't really know if I don't really like this quarterback. Me and him don't really click. I might get a rush back in my treatment or my rehab. So like that happens internally, especially when you really have nothing to play for the rest of the year. That I'm not being harsh. Just, I mean, kids don't care about going 6-6 anymore. So now offensively, it's kind of like, what's the buy-in? When you talked about it, Cole, we got an interim OC, Joe John Finley, probably not going to get the job, but like. Just interesting. Offensively, again, they've had 2 weeks. We talked about it last time with their coming off their bye week. I believe, was it before Texas? Cool.
It's before Texas.
All right, it's before. So they still had Seth Luttrell. Like we were like, let's see some creativeness. Again, you've had injuries. You know who's going to be out. I get it. That is definitely somewhat of an excuse. But for you to come out and have nothing, that's where I would be a little concerned. But this bye week, throw the kitchen sink, man. Joe John Finley, this is your chance. Maybe you don't get the Oklahoma job, but you could turn it into another job. I think this is where you go throw the kitchen sink at Alabama's defense, who can give up yards. They've just been forcing a lot of turnovers, and that's where you got to tell Jackson Arnold, hey, man, just do not go lose this the game. We got to trust the game plan. We're going to play to your strengths this week.
You also have to be able to trust the rushing attack. You know, last week they weren't that great. Taylor Tatum did an okay job. Hopefully you'll have Javonte Barnes back for this game. But Alabama's given up about 4.5 yards per play. You can live in 2nd and 6. You can live in 3rd and 1 if you're averaging 4.5 yards per play. And we have watched at times this year. Dave, we've seen it up close and in person. Alabama's defense has struggled on 3rd down. Can you force Alabama's defense to play back to where you're converting and you're staying on the field and you're milking the time of possession to where maybe this is a 4-quarter battle? I mean, as much as we want to talk about how down the stretch when it comes to the SEC, especially in week 13 and week 12, there are the cupcake games. There are the appetizer games, the Mercer versus Bama, or the Wofford versus South Carolina. There are also games ahead where it is matchups that we got to talk about, like Texas versus Oklahoma. I mean, not Texas versus Oklahoma, Texas versus Kentucky, Alabama versus Oklahoma. And they end up usually being pretty good games. Florida last week, South Carolina last week. I mean, those are good games that will factor into the playoffs. So if you can have a rushing attack, take some pressure off of Jackson Arnold to have to win through the year, and keep the offense on the field by converting on 3rd down, there's reasons to at least say this is going to be a 4-quarter battle.
Yeah, and I think Alabama's defense has gotten a little bit. I just looked it up because I was looking at stats. I was like, I don't think. Yeah, they're 18th in 3rd down conversions. They're not bad, but it was bad early in the year. I'm with you, and I do think a good game plan you brought up. I mean, you didn't say specifically game plan, but I'm with you, Cole. I think if I was Oklahoma, Yeah, I do think you'd want to shorten this game a little bit. Like you said, let's be in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and let's come up with our best 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and short plays. And we just have to keep converting them. You know what? Maybe we go off some play action. We hit some shots every now and then. I think that's kind of got to be the game plan. It can't be we're going to go try to get to explosives right off the bat within the first play or two of every series. I think you got to stay ahead of the sticks here. Your defense is good enough, I think, to hold out. We've seen Alabama play bad on offense. We've seen Jalen Milroe. He shows abilities to take bad intentional groundings, bad sacks to be drive killers, stuff like that. So I think the defense can do their thing. The offense is just going to have to, I think, keep the football and kind of just be there. Maybe Oklahoma sitting there at the end of the half and they're up 10-7 at half. It's like, man, we've dominated time of possession. They barely had the ball. Jalen Milroe took a bad sack our defense forced. Maybe he gave us a fumble. Like, I think that's where you got to. It's got to be ugly. I think you got to muck it up, man. You just got to muck it up. It can't be a basketball game, because if it's a basketball game, that's going to go lead into Bama's favor.
You and I do this every single time that we do a preview together. One player to watch for on both sides. Let's start off with Oklahoma. I'll go first. Every quarterback needs a security blanket. I want to believe in Deion Burks. I'm not sure what he's going to look like on the injury report this week. I do believe in Bauer Sharp. Bauer Sharp has been the go-to guy so far this season. I think that if you are going to win on 3rd down, and like you brought up, they are now 16th in 3rd down conversion rate. At one point, they were like 115th in the country. If you want to get back to that version of 115, do you feel like that you're going to have those matchups against the nickel or against the safety that can win with the receiving tight end? If you can move the sticks, if you can continue to see the growth and the progress in the offense clicking and be able to at least put yourself in manageable situations, like whether it be 2nd and 6, whether it be 3rd and 1, whether it be you get a 12-yard gain, I think that Bauer Sharp opens that up for you, because if I'm not sure what you're going to see from Alabama secondary, how they're going to be able to prepare for him. If let's say you do have a Deion Burks, and let's say you do have a Jaleel Farouk, like even if they're just very limited in this game, like at least you have them out there. And so you have to plan for them, but you will have to also plan for your tight end play. And the tight end play seems to be the most consistent play so far for Oklahoma's offense this year.
Yeah, I'm with you, Cole. I think he would factor into the staying ahead of the sticks, but maybe being somebody Jackson Arnold starts to trust on 3rd down in this game. If they can, like if you see Texas or if you see Oklahoma's like 9 for 12 on 3rd down, that means this game's at least very close. But I think also this game's going to have to come down to Oklahoma's defense is going to have to win it to them. I'll win it for them. I do think Oklahoma's offense does have a ceiling. They're only going to be able to do so much in this game, just with the situation they're in. The defense is going to have to play really well, and they have all year for the most part. So that's why I think it's going to come down to Kip Lewis. I think the spying on Jalen Milroe, how he affects him, will be interesting from that perspective. If the defense, Kip Lewis, can have a phenomenal performance, I think it's going to give the offense an opportunity to win this game. If Alabama's going up and down the field on Oklahoma, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if Alabama was having success offensively against Oklahoma's defense, I don't trust the Oklahoma offense if they have to go throw to play catch up to stay in this game. So that's why I think it starts and finishes with the defense. Give me Kip Lewis in that spot position on Jalen Milroe Saturday night.
Alabama, it's Tyler Booker. It's easily, it has to be. There's no other way, because of when you have a quarterback that is going to be able to move and a quarterback that you have to trust his legs, it's going to be the offensive lineman that's pulling. It's going to be the guy that can create those avenues, that can take out a Kip Lewis, that can take out a Danny Stutzman at the second level to create those windows for him to be able to run. The same thing for Justice Haynes and Jam Miller. It has to be with the interior offensive line. Tyler Booker is a guy that many are starting to talk about as a potential first-round draft pick. Start living up to the hype. This is that game, because of, again, you don't want to get complacent down the stretch and think that, well, look at the record of what Oklahoma has done this year. Look at how they struggled against South Carolina. You guys struggled against South Carolina. Look at how they struggled against Missouri. If Brady Cook plays in that game, we may be talking about this at least being a 4-quarter battle in Tuscaloosa right before the bye week. You don't get complacent. This is a very good defense, and a defense that has been practicing for 2 weeks to scheme up and slow down Jalen Milroe. So I am immediately saying that Tyler Booker has to be that X factor on the offensive line and creating as many avenues to make sure that ground game continues to move the sticks.
Yeah, I'd like to say someone on offense. I think that will be key. But I'm going to go against this is a position, the outside backers, the wolf spots, the bandits, whatever you want to call them, in the Cam Womack swarm defense. I think they're going to be key to ultimately how far Alabama's season is this year. I mean, they've already lost Q Robinson. Now they got Quay Russaw, who's going to have to kind of step up there. Montgomery Carver, school of Alabama fans, Mac Wilson's alma mater, redshirt freshman. I think he's going to have to be that guy that steps up as an edge rusher. This was already a very thin unit. It was already limited before Q Robinson went out. I think this wolf spot Quay Russaw is going to have to step up ultimately, not only for Alabama to win Saturday, but down the line. But I would like to see him start really wrecking some havoc this week, them scheming up, maybe him getting on some one-on-one opportunities against those Oklahoma tackles and force some turnovers that we know Oklahoma can give up, and we know Alabama's second two levels have been forcing.
Kickoff set for 6 o'clock at Memorial Stadium. Line set at 14. Dave, I'll let you go first. Who walks away with the win and why?
I don't think Alabama's just going to go dog walk this game. For whatever, it feels like one of those games. It's a night game in Norman again. I don't know how jacked the fans really are. They're going to show up because it's what they do in Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma football, man. It's a big national brand. They have a passionate, loyal fan base. I think they're going to be there, but they're going to be on the edge of their seats. And I think a lot of them probably totally expect to lose this game, but they're going to be wild. They're going to be pleasantly surprised if they have a chance in the fourth quarter. And I think this game will probably go into the fourth quarter with them a chance to at least be there at the end. I don't know. I just think too much. Bama's going to be too much, I think. Bama's got a lot more to play for, more motivation. I don't trust Jackson Arnold for a whole game in this Oklahoma offense to go actually pull off the upset. I think they do have some success. They've had 2 weeks to put together a game plan. I think Joe John Finley, if I were him, I don't know why you wouldn't throw the kitchen sink, because, again, you're not getting this offensive coordinator job, but you could definitely get another one. Again, you're not getting the Oklahoma job, but you can go get another one off this interview. I just think at some point Jackson Arnold makes a mistake too much. Again, I don't think it's a blowout. I actually think Oklahoma covers. I think Alabama's going to win this 30-17. I think the defense does play well enough. Oklahoma's defense plays well enough to limit Bama at times. I do think this could be like a 13-7 Bama lead at half, maybe even a 10-7 Oklahoma lead. I think Oklahoma's got to possess and be really good on third down if they want to win. Not saying they can't consistently, because Bama's improved on third down and turnover margin. But I expect Oklahoma not just go lay down out there. I think this will be a better game than people are expecting. I think they barely cover, stay within the 14. So give me at home, Oklahoma, Alabama. I'm going to take the tie 30-17.
I think this is a 4-quarter game. I fully do. I believe this is going to be a matchup to where you look at Zach Alley, you look at Brent Venables, and even if they don't win, they show you that they know what they're doing defensively. They just got to bring in the right personnel offensively, whether that be a tackle, whether that be a wide receiver, whether that be a quarterback, offensive play caller, whatever it is, they're there defensively. And I think that they will eliminate Jalen Milroe's legs. I truly believe that. I think this is going to be a game that is won through the air. It's not won through the trenches. I think that even though you will see Jackson Arnold get after, especially by this Alabama front seven, he will make some plays. I think Jalen Milroe will make some plays. The bottom line is, who do you trust more as a passer? Jackson Arnold or Jalen Milroe? He's been there for 3 years. He's been in a system that hasn't allowed him to throw the football the way that he wants to. But when he does throw the football, it's a thing of beauty. That's Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe has right now more intangibles as a veteran quarterback that's been doing this on and off for 3 seasons in 3 different offensive playbooks. That's the other part that I think a lot of people forget about. It's not just, it was Bill O'Brien in 2022. It was Tommy Rees in 2023, and now with Nick Sheridan in 2024. You've seen what the deep ball can look like, and you've also seen what the intermediate passes can look like. And I think that that's what's going to be the difference in this game in the fourth quarter. You will have a tired defense on both sides, but one team will have a quarterback with a wide receiver core that you trust more to make a big-time play. And so I'm putting it right at the line. 14 points is the final in this matchup. I go 28-14 Alabama. I think this is going to be a game where you will see Jeremy Bernard or you will see Ryan Williams step on up. They will capitalize. They will get a late touchdown, whether it be they take a 21-point lead and then the offense responds, or they gain and they're tied 14-14 and then just take a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. That's what I think happens in this game. It is going to be a very, very, very back and forth first half. And ultimately, the team that has the momentum, number one, and number two, the veteranship, walks away with the dub. It's not a bad performance from Oklahoma in this game at all, but it's one that shows you there's a clear separation between the Crimson Tide and the Sooners. 14-point swing. It's a 14-point line. I'm putting this right at 14. Alabama 28, Oklahoma 14.
No, yeah, I think it's about right. I'm with you. I'd be a bit surprised and impressed if Alabama just went in there and handled Oklahoma, but I'd also be surprised if Alabama straight up lost the game. So I think we're probably both around. I mean, shoot, I'm 13, you're 14. So, yeah, we're definitely thinking the same thing here.
Let's know in the comment section, what do you think of this? Will Alabama find their way into the Iron Bowl with 2 losses? Will they have their season come to an end? Will Oklahoma get to bowl eligibility? Like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow Dave at Mock 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. Sooners, Crimson Tide. Just give us a damn good game. Peace.